This is not about anything other than cruelty and about what's best for Donald Trump. He is treating these people like commodities, and they are human beings, and they are people. And yet they're being commoditized to do the quote unquote backbreaking work. I would also love to know who he's referring to when he talks about inner city people. I think we all know what that little dog whistle is all about. But apparently those people, as he would term them, don't want to do that kind of backbreaking work. Why not? And who are they that he's referring to? So much of this is racist. And it's not even a dog whistle, it's just overtly racist, right? And the reality is that we are specifically taking an entire group of people and making them into commodities. That is not what this is not what the United States is about. This is not what this country is about. It never has been, not since slavery at least was eradicated. And now we have a president who's very much treating these people like they're not people, like they're not human beings.
For the life of me, I don't understand why Democrats love illegals so much. As you saw from the intro, the left is trying to moralize on the illegal issue again, and they say, "Oh, what we're doing to the illegals are cruel." Imagine this: putting someone back to their country where they were born and raised at, where they were born as a citizen, like returning a citizen back to their country, is cruel. Make that make sense, guys. Make it make sense. You come into a country, you break into someone's house, and the person just kicks you out of their house, and you're saying that's cruel. The framing is crazy with this one. And I remember I brought up a story. Massachusetts Democrat Governor Merrill Haley is spending $97 million of taxpayer dollars on housing for illegals. Each family will receive $30,000. What about our homeless veterans? Isn't that cruel? Imagine someone's homeless after fighting for your country, fighting to maintain peace, your country's position, so that way its people can maintain their rights. Imagine someone gave service to this country. You do nothing for them. They're homeless. But you're spending $97 million of the American people's money to house foreigners who came into this country illegally. Make that make sense, Democratic Party. Can you square that for me, Democrats? All this is political, by the way. We already know the answer. They like illegals because illegals benefit them politically, right? It gives them more House seats. They give them more population numbers. So when they're counted as part of the census, they get a bigger representation. They give a bigger piece of the pie of the American congressional seat. This is one of the tactics they use to benefit it from the short term. Long term, they want to give these people amnesty, the ability to become American citizens, and they have them as voters. There's a stat out there, I think, if you give the illegal, or if you give migrants the right to vote, 65% of them will vote for the Democratic Party. This is all purely political, and all they're trying to do is protect their political leverage. This is the only way I see the reason why they're so up in arms for illegals in this country, because they know they gain from it politically. And all this moralizing, I don't think America's falling for it anymore. I think people are starting to see through the Democratic Party and what they're really about. Protecting their own political interests, protecting their power, protecting their leverage, right? And no greater, I think, example is the prosecution, the DOJ stuff. When Democrats was doing it, they're all fine. But now that a Democrat is going to face the same kind of retribution that they have already set the precedent for, all of a sudden it's unfair, it's cruel, right? Make it make sense. The left don't make sense anymore. I think that's why a lot of people are not really truly listening to them anymore.
Why don't we use this as an opportunity right now to reimagine what the Department of Education looks like, to reimagine what it looks like for the Department of Health Services, because then you actually have a conversation with the American people of how are we building America for the 21st century, for that multicultural America that just has disparities, but also has amazing ideas when we put our power to it.
Yeah.
What a great way to look at it.
I have long operated on the assumption it's going to take us about 40 years to get out of this hole. I'm sorry. I believe in
40 years.
40 years.
You're gonna have to
I
spike
believe
my
in cyclical
water
history. 1820s, 1860s, 1920s, 1960s. We're in the 2020s. We're not getting out this to the 2060s. It's going to take a long time to fix these.
The left never seem to ask themselves how we got here in the first place, right? Zero mention of the hell of the hole Biden dug us into, letting millions of unvetted illegal migrants flood our country for 4 years, right? And this is the problem, right? And this is the one-sidedness that I talk about, how is requiring photo ID to vote a reasonable measure to protect the integrity of elections. All says 73% of people said yes. By more than 3-1 margin, voters continue favoring an election integrity measure that Donald Trump has openly advocated for, right? But these people, asking proof of citizenship restricts voting. Duh. That's what a republic is. You want certain groups of people voting and certain people's not. Americans, you want Americans to vote. You don't want non-Americans to vote in yours. It makes perfect sense. But they don't see it. And then they have the goal to virtue signal or try to condemn the right on gerrymandering. In my estimation, counting foreigners as part of your census, allowing people who that are undocumented to vote in your elections, in my estimation, that's gerrymandering. That's a form of a gerrymandering. You're importing foreigners into your country. There was a video that went viral from a Democrat that she said out of her own mouth that she's a Mexican first before she's an American, and she's serving in the government. Make that make sense, leftists. Make that make sense. Isn't that gerrymandering?
Terminar decir unas palabras en español porque yo soy guatemalteca con mucho orgullo, primero que soy americana.
The founding fathers wrote explicitly that any immigrant must absolutely and entirely renounce or adjudicate all allegiance and fidelity to every foreign prince, principality, state, or sovereignty. Representative Ramirez says in Spanish, a Democrat from Illinois, it's funny how it all goes back to Illinois. I am a proud Guatemalan before I am an American. Yet you want to influence and serve in my country and dictate policy and weigh in policy in my stuff. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Like this is the problem. This is why you got a lot of people on the right who are starting to believe that maybe dual nationals shouldn't have any right to serve in our government. I agree with that, by the way. You're either American only or you don't serve in the American government at all. Dual citizens you can influence our society from the outside, but you can't possibly be in the process and influencing. And this is the same critique for Ilhan Omar when she was saying something about being Somalian first and before she's an American. Same sentiment. And what they both have in common, they're both Democrats. You see why Democrats like illegal so much. To me, in my estimation, that's gerrymandering too. This is why they want these people to vote in their local elections. You got Massachusetts governor saying, Texas gives us no choice when all their House seats are Democrat. How you can gerrymander anymore? Excuses. I'm tired of it. Right? And you got leftists, these donors want to throw money behind them. And for what? These people do a terrible job actually making a case for some of the nonsense and the hypocrisy and the doublespeak that they do everywhere. Their words say one thing, but if you look at their actions, you're like, you're just trying to gain leverage over the situation. And this debate here between them, it always goes back to Illinois, it seems. But the gerrymandering debate, I think, has really, truly backfired on the Democrats and many of their pundits, because it is becoming increasingly hard to kind of show outrage over Texas when the Republicans are able to substantiate and show you a track record of Democrats across the nation doing exactly what they're criticizing Texas for. And you lose the argument the moment the Republicans are able to do that. And I think this is why many Americans are just going like, get out of my face, Democrats. We don't care about the moral stuff. Just it's openly political. It's openly political. And this is the problem I have with the Democratic Party, is that they pretend that they're holier than thou, they're righteous than thou, they're so moral, they're so virtuous when they're against their opposition. But when the opposition points out, hey, you doing the same thing that you're trying to moralize and virtue signal over, they always try to say, no, it's different. It's always different for Democrats. Am I right? I digress. Let's get into this debate between Scott Jennings and the CNN liberal here.
They should go to work, should they not? I mean, they got elected to represent people in Texas, not
So
people
should
in
Congress.
Illinois.
Why did they abandon the House to not vote on these Epstein files?
It's the August recess, and if you're comparing these
it was
two,
not the
once
August
again,
recess.
you're showing just how dishonest you're willing to be. They got elected to go to work in the Texas state capitol. They've left the state. They're abandoning their constituents, and if they want to go vote against the map, that's fine. But running off to Illinois, the most gerrymandered state in the country, I mean, I understand no one in the PR department at the Texas House Democratic Conference must have been at work that day, but it looks horrific for them.
But let it be horrific.
What I will say about that is that they have.
I agree. It does look horrific to them. As an independent, I'm looking at this like every opportunity I try, I tell myself this. Is there any way I can see what Democrats are doing as something substantial? They claim that this is for Americans, but I see this as no, it's not for Americans. It's for Democrats. This is only for Democrats. You're doing this move only for Democrats. It doesn't benefit Americans at all. What benefits Americans is the flooding bill. So in my head, I'm like, okay, you're a minority, right? You're abandoning the sessions. Look at all the gerrymandering states that the Democrats have done throughout the nation. Why I never see Republicans do this? Republicans just accept the game. They're like, okay, we gotta somehow, get after it. Look at California Republicans. Every Republican in Florida, Texas, Tennessee, they've always told the California Republicans, man, I need to just leave this state. But what California Republicans say? No, we're gonna stay here and fight. We're gonna fight to the bitter end. We love California. We think you can vote the right way. They stay there. The largest population of conservatives are in California. They stay there. Even though they only get 17% representation and Gavin Newsom is trying to make that 5% because of what Texas is doing, using Texas as an excuse. They stay and fight. But what Democrats are doing. So as an American, right, if I just take my political biases out of it, as an American, I see that, oh, that's honorable. Even though the system is not it's not working for you, you still try to fight within the confines of that system. And just because it didn't go your way, you absolve yourself of other duties and responsibilities you have as a congressman. But what the Democrats do, minute something's leveraged against them and it's not politically convenient for them, they run away, right? They complain, they protest, they do all this stuff just for it to happen eventually. All they're doing is delaying the inevitable. Like what they were doing with Trump. They love democracy until democracy gives them Trump. Now they don't like democracy. Whenever a Democrat opened their mouth and said, we're trying to protect democracy, replace democracy with power. We're trying to protect our power. Because that's all Democrats truly care about. And it's the only way this outrage makes sense to me. Let me know if you come to a different conclusion in the comment section.
Had to flee. They don't have control.
Had to flee?
Let me tell you, they don't have control of
the
House or the Senate. Want to pick up seats for the midterm
so
elections.
You get elected,
He's not doing this
so you
for
get
any
elected
other
to
reason.
represent people in Texas, and your reaction to that is to go to Illinois and hide behind J.B. Pritzker?
They're breaking quorum. That's what they're doing. They're breaking quorum because it is not
at
right.
a minimum, it's childish, and it might be criminal.
Well,
it's not right for Democrats, right? This is what they always leave out. That's why I said Democrats are themselves first, America last, right? When it's time for them to take, hey, we lost this one. All right. Like, look, their argument is this map is going to be more representative of how the election went 2024. Right. We don't have enough votes to go against that. We have to create a counter strategy without hurting the Texans people, because we need this flood bill to pass or whatever. Instead, they go, oh, it's unfair that you're trying to lead in with the gerrymandering district. How about you lead in with the flood thing? No, things not going to work for your convenience, Democrat. And this is the kind of the perspective that I think a lot of Democrats come from it. They like to go at things that's convenient for them. But reality sometimes isn't convenient to you or to a political party. It wasn't convenient for Republicans when Donald Trump lost in 2020. And then the January 6th thing happened. It wasn't convenient for conservatives to call out January 6th and say, hey, this is a bad look for us. No one should have been doing this. Now we give ammo to the Democrats to label us as terrorists for the next 4 years. And they're still bringing back January 6th. Democrats always talk about we need to look towards the future, but they're always bringing up January 6th, which was in the past. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Republicans always criticize and always hold their own side accountable because there's more political diversity on the right. But if you look at the left, they could do whatever they want. Luigi kills another human being because of his position in a healthcare company, and he thinks that he somehow is responsible, kills him because of his own personal grievances. Make that make sense. And you want me to elect a party with voters that support something like that? Hell no.
We know what's challenging about losing the House of Representatives because of higher.
Let's just take the president.
They left in July, and they said they left in July because they didn't want to vote on the Epstein matter. They didn't want to vote to release the Epstein files. And so now you're saying the senators and the senators and the reps down in Texas have to do their job, because what are they scared of? But what are you guys scared of in terms of staying in Washington? What's the difference?
We making a bet on ourselves. These 5 new Republican seats that you're complaining about are majority Hispanic districts. When that, I thought the minority vote was the Democrat vote, but you're not confident in that anymore because minorities, you're losing minorities, right? This is the biggest concession. Like this is what like if you told Democrats 10 years ago, hey, Republicans are redrawing a map where 5 seats are going to be districted in majority Hispanic districts, you think they'll be complaining about that map? Would you think they'll be calling that map gerrymandered? Hell no, they won't. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be calling it that. But in 2025, now that's a gerrymandered map. Now, a majority Hispanic district is considered likely Republican seat, just like a majority white district is considered a highly Republican seat. This is craziness. Soon they're going to say that about blacks. I think you were still 20 years too early for that, but hey, you never know. Younger blacks are more likely to be conservative than older blacks. And this political shift, Democrats are not recognizing that. They're still stuck in their ways, it seems like. But let's continue.
Do you think, you're a Democrat,
in California, an independent commission? Democrats would prefer a fair process and an
really
independent
fair.
commission.
So
No, it is. That's
It's not in California. Republicans get about 40% of the vote, and they have 17% of the congressional seats. So not a great example. But number 2, if it's rigging the election, that's your words. In Texas, is it going to be rigging the election when all these Democrats who say they're going to gerrymander in the other state, are you also going to argue that they're rigging the election or just in Texas?
Yes,
and have the elections been rigged in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, New Mexico, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, and Rhode Island? Have they been rigged there as well? Because there, the proportion of Republican vote comes nowhere near what they have in Congress.
They did a normal redistricting process. If states end up going, like if states end up going and calling special sessions and doing all of these things to try to gain seats, I agree. I don't agree with that. Do I think they need to do it? Absolutely.
Yeah, but the point they're trying to make is these gerrymander states already they already did the thing. They already did the deed. And now you're reacting to Texas doing it. And then these same states that already did the deed, like California, saying that, no, we're going to do even more now because Texas did it. That's the argument. It don't make sense. And this is why I say even, illegals, having them as part of your census, allowing them to vote in your local elections, to me, that's a form of gerrymandering as well. Because who's to say that, okay, illegals, 65% chance they will vote Democrat. Okay, Democrat sanctuary city let a bunch of illegals into the country. Right? That's one of the reasons why Democrats are so mad about the mass deportation and the first time in U.S. history that we might get a negative migration is because now it stops them from funneling voters into these red districts and trying to turn them purple or turn them blue. Right? This is the same argument they were trying to use for demographics equals destiny. Remember that? When Democrats used to believe that? Now in 2025, Texas is drawing up 5 districts within majority Hispanic areas, and Democrats are saying that's gerrymandered map. They don't want the map. Damn, a lot can change in 10 years, huh? But I digress. I'll leave it out there. Let me know your thoughts and perspectives in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you're so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.